Joining me right now, we have New York Times White House correspondent Luke Broadwater. We also have investigative profiler Casey Jordan. So thank you both for being here. Casey, we heard the Utah governor say the suspect isn't cooperating. Would there be an expectation of cooperation in situations like this? And how would investigators then approach him? Do they talk to him? Do they not talk to him at all? And what's the focus then of the investigation if he's not helping?
Well, if you were accused of assassination and murder and everyone was on record, both the governor and the president, saying they were going to pursue the death penalty, I don't think you'd be talking either. He's not going to help them out because there's absolutely no incentive to help him out. If they want to take death penalty off the table and probably use his family and the family friend, the minister, who were able to get him to essentially confess to them and agree to be arrested, that would probably be the best way to get answers. You know, we keep asking what the motive is, and right now it's a lot of conjecture. We're getting more information all the time, and there will be more evidence as things come in. Of course, he has an attorney, but he's not going to cooperate until there is some incentive to do that, and we're not going to know the motive until it comes out of his mouth. That is the only way we will know for sure what was on his mind when he committed this alleged horrific act.
If we ever do. So, Luke, you write that President Trump placed the blame for Kirk's killing squarely on his political opponents. Trump has long made clear unity is not the mission of his presidency. Americans have long looked to a president to unite the country in times of crisis and tragedy. So what is the effect of divisive rhetoric on the crisis of political violence that we are facing?
Right. Well, it can have the effect of throwing more fuel on the fire. We've seen presidents in the past at a time of national tragedy try to bring the country together, try to unify the country, or say things like Islam is not the enemy, Islamic terrorism is, right? Drawing some distinction there between people and the ideology, right? In this case, Donald Trump is saying the left is the problem. He's talking about radical leftists. He's using broad terms to talk about political opponents or political rivals and not saying things like, well, the Democrats aren't our enemy, the left isn't our enemy, it's radical violence from a limited number of people that is the enemy. He's making no distinction like that. And so that can have the effect of pouring more gasoline on a fire that's burning in this country of political hatred.
And Casey, Senator Mark Kelly today noted that the shooting of video of the shooting is, quote, all over social media. You can't scrub versions of the footage from all platforms. So does that concern security officials? And how much could that factor in when it comes to other potential copycats?
Well, we do know that there are people out there who are in that same mindset, ostracized, isolated, perhaps addicted to gaming and internet. I mean, he was living on the internet. He had very little contact with the outside world. And when we talk about copycats, I dislike this word because it makes it sound like the minute that they see something on the news about a previous shooting, whether it is, you know, the CEO of United Healthcare or a Catholic school in Minnesota, that they suddenly decide they're going to copy it. It's not like that. The idea has been there all along, smoldering and festering. And what happens is that they get inspired. Almost always we see that they have researched similar shootings, and that is probably why we see the writing on the guns, writing on the ammo. He is emulating, yes, copying, but these other actions on the internet shown over and over and over again do inspire like-minded people. So there's a lot to be said for scrubbing it, for keeping it down, and actually for moving on. Let the wheels of justice, due process, do their job without access from the public all the time, because there are a lot of minds out there that are fallow gardens for a lot of this violent rhetoric and political rhetoric. So, you know, go outside and touch grass, but then stay outside in the pasture.
Right, as the Utah governor said. So, Luke, when you write that Trump condemned Kirk's murder, you write that he spoke of the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, addressing violence against the right with no mention of recent violence against Democrats. So what did Trump exclude, and what does it reveal about his views on political violence?
Right. Well, he in his speech from the Oval Office, he condemned the demonization of one's opponents, which I think, many researchers saw as a welcome statement. That's part of the problem in this mess as a country, that we way too often dehumanize and demonize our political rivals. But then he pivoted to saying listing only acts of violence that seem to stem from the left. Right. So he ticked off a number of examples: the shooting of Steve Scalise and Republicans at the baseball practice in Congress, a number of other examples. But he made no mention of, the attack on Paul Pelosi, or the firebombing of Josh Shapiro's house, or the killing of the Minnesota lawmakers and the shooting of lawmakers in Minnesota. So he seemed to be trying to create an image where there's only one side that's violent in America. And we know that that's not true. Every study has shown political violence in America runs every conceivable direction: right on left, right on right, left on left, left on right. And sometimes there's not even a clear ideology. It's a mishmash of sort of insane ideas gained from the internet.
Yeah.
But what they all do have in common is that somebody had access to a gun, typically, and they were online constantly filling their head with all sorts of hateful ideas about other people.
Can I get from you, Casey, your thoughts on the best avenue for healing or unifying this country?
Okay, let's just start with the obvious. Love your children, no matter who they are or what they are. It's okay to condemn acts, but we don't condemn people, certainly for not their beliefs and not for their sexual identity or gender identity. I think the biggest thing we have found out in the last day that's really, to me, brought it all together, because I always thought this attack was more personal than political, is that the alleged shooter is in a relationship with his roommate. They're romantic partners, and that his partner is transitioning from male to female. Make of that what you will. This, to me, brings it all together. He lives in a community, and perhaps with a family, for which his identity is an aberration. So everyone, especially parents, need to step back and love your children, no matter who they are, because ostracism and alienation is what causes that fallow ground where the violence can take hold. So just love
I have
your
a
kids.
feeling that if we had more time, you could probably list 20 things we could all be doing, but that certainly is a good one to start. As the mother of two, I got to say, you've got to love your kids the way they are, and then they'll love you back, and it's good. All right. Thank you very much. Casey, Luke, thank you so much.